107.3 FM.
Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live money news up here at Tadisha Wakanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. You can also listen to us all across the world on 3news.com. We are streaming on Facebook and X at 3FM 927. Coming up this evening here on Hot Edition, Deputy Attorney General declares commitment to combat illegal mining through effective prosecution following the conviction of Chinese national Aisha Huang for various mining offenses. We have the details and also what the Attorney General has been saying for you here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.
If you arrest someone and you charge him for committing an offense some time ago, if you are able to prosecute him successfully and he should be sentenced, the sentence then should be the sentence that you can use. You cannot use the new regime. And so far the sentence then.
More of this here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, plus reactions from civil society organizations in the mining sector who are not too happy about the 4.5 years jail term slapped on Aisha Huang. They believe that dependent on the extent of destruction that Aisha Huang has dealt on the environment in this country, the measures and also the jail term could have been punitive more than the 4.5 years slapped on her. We'll take a listen to some of the civil society organizations reacting to this here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also, Education Minister Dr. Yao said Richum before Parliament to answer questions on the senior high schools reporting date. Will be live in Parliament shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Plus, we bring you reports from the schools and placement centers where we understand that there is some concern amongst parents over there. All these plus the latest in business, sports and entertainment coming up over the next 60 minutes. Remember, Hot Edition is probably brought to you by Old Mutual. They say do great things every day. I am Alfred Ocansey. Let's get into the details now. Now, the Office of the Attorney General says it is determined to combat illegal mining through effective prosecution of its perpetrators. The declaration by the Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Alfred Ocansey, follows the Accra High Court's sentencing of the Chinese national Aisha Huang to 4 years and 6 months jail term for various mining offenses. Details of the court proceedings in this report filed by my colleague Joseph Akable.
Aisha Huang was slapped with the charges of undertaking a mining operation without a license, facilitating the participation of persons engaged in a mining operation, illegal employment of foreign nationals, and entering Ghana while prohibited from re-entry. She admitted to the offense of entry while prohibited from doing so. For the other offenses, she maintained her innocence, causing the state to call more than 10 witnesses to prove the case. The court concluded that the evidence shows she had engaged in illegal mining and destroyed the environment. It also noted that she had not been truthful, as she had at various times used different names and referred to different men as her husband. She was therefore sentenced to serve a 4-year, 6 months jail term. She's also to pay a fine of 48,000 cedis and is to be deported after serving the term. The High Court is still handling the case of 4 other accused persons who are also facing various mining offenses and are actually alleged to have been employed to engage in illegal mining by Aisha Huang.
So that's the details of exactly what happened in court earlier today. Meanwhile, the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Ocansey, is satisfied with the decision of the court, maintaining his office will go after other illegal miners.
If you arrest someone and you charge him for committing an offense some time ago, if you are able to prosecute him successfully and he should be sentenced, the sentence then should be the sentence that you can use. You cannot use the new regime. And so far the sentence then was to the fact that the maximum of 5 years, we think that's the right position of the law. We can also not amend our constitution at this stage, but that's the law even worldwide. At the time they commit the offense, the punishment there is what you are supposed to be given when you are convicted for that offense. We were aware of it. That's why we came to court, and we knew that the maximum that we could get would be 5 years. She's someone that has gotten her name in the media a lot. Today, she's come to the end of the road. We're able to successfully prosecute her. She's going to spend 4 years, 6 months in custody. It should be a lesson to the others that you may be engaging in illegal mining, but when your time comes, the law will deal with you in accordance with what we've had. So it's a fight that we have not won. It's a fight that is a continuous one. As I just said, we all need to take part in the fight. Aisha is going today. The next time we come to court, if others have committed similar offenses, they also have their day in court.
Well, that's Alfred Ocansey, is a Deputy Attorney General. There were concerns initially about the judge relying on the old law to convict Aisha 1. And in fact, this 4.5 years, that's 4 years, 6 months jail term that was slapped on Aisha 1 was based on the old law. Now, if the new law had been applied, clearly the number of years Aisha 1 would have been put behind bars would be way higher, and according to some society organizations, much more punitive than the 4.5 years that she has been slapped with. Let's go on to the telephone now. And Engineer Dr. Ken Ashibe is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, and he's joining us on the telephone, one of the foremost voices in this fight against illegal mining in this country. Engineer Dr. Ken Ashibe, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. Now, according to the Deputy Attorney General, reason why the 4.5 years jail term was slapped on Aisha 1, despite the confirmation of her involvement in various levels of destruction of our forest reserves and our environment in this country, is because the old law permits a maximum of 5 years. And that is what they went to court with. And they were very much aware of that. Does that answer the concerns about this judge relying on the old law on this case?
Well, I am I think from the judge's point of view, and I think the point has been made, that this particular judge has demonstrated nationalism since this case began. He is the one who kept Aisha 1 in custody because of the fact that she was a flight risk and, had seen through this prosecution up to this particular time. The interesting thing for me, and I get the point about the fact that the time Aisha 1 was first arrested, I think was sometime between, that early time when she was arrested, the new law had not been promulgated. And so if that was what the prosecution took, then definitely, you cannot be prosecuted with a law that is already not in place. But my question I'm asking is that when she entered into our country, at the point where she was rearrested, that definitely was one of the charges. So what was the punishment for that particular charge? And the question again I would want to ask is that when she re-entered, was there no evidence of the fact that she had done some other illegal mining activity? And those are things that it is up to the prosecution, it is up to the investigators to have taken to court. And so, in as much as I, for a fact, would have wished that she would have been prosecuted under the new laws, my question, and, for my lack of legal knowledge, what I have done is ask some of the lawyers, could we have done anything differently in terms of the time of her rearrest and in bringing fresh charges against her and all of that, so that we would have avoided the case where now she has had to be prosecuted under the old law, and that gotten almost the maximum sentence for this. But I think we all need to double our hearts out to this particular judge and show her as a sign to other judges to say this is the way we ought to go in protecting ourselves. But definitely 4.5 years for the level of damage, the destruction that Aisha 1 has done to our environment is not punitive enough.
And you're right about Justice Lady Osei Manfo. In fact, in court today, she was very passionate, and it was quite telling in the comments that she made even before passing this particular judgment. And so for you, and not just you, but the civil society organizations looking at how things are playing out in this Aisha case, this 4.5 years plus 48,000 Ghana cedis fine is not punitive enough.
Oh, definitely 48,000 cedis for Aisha with all the distraction and the gold that she has looted. That is chicken change, and definitely if this was happening in the country that she was coming from, I'm sure she might face a death sentence, So definitely that is, very, very, it's not punitive at all. And I wish the Attorney General could look again into it and see whether there was anything that they could do.
Saying anything they could do, what could be the possible options?
Are there other charges that could be brought against her? I'm aware of we cannot have double jeopardy. But did she commit any other crimes when she was rearrested? The time she came back into the country again, that would have been under the aegis of the new laws. So definitely, then that prosecution could have happened under it. But well, again, not being a lawyer, I need to be careful about double jeopardy so far as the case is concerned.
There's a clear admission that there's a lot that has to be done in this fight against illegal mining. What should this particular development do in terms of the commitment to fight illegal mining in this country?
Well, I think that for me, the judge has really shown it. And it also has shown that for the media and civil society, once we bring the necessary pressure, to bear on the state, the right things should be done. And maybe the Attorney General has also done this. But we want to see this in a lot more of the cases, so the situation for Akunta mining, for example, where the minister himself has talked about it. It's a shame that the Director General of CID has still not finished its investigation. We're not seeing what is happening so far as prosecution is concerned. There are situations where you have companies like Heritage Imperial who were giving licenses to go and do prospecting, but were involved in mining activities. Their court cases even say that these have not been prosecuted. So it's important that the likes of Aisha, now that they've gone, others too who have gone the same route, those who are actually fomenting this, we also bring them to book.
Engineer Dr. Kenneth Shigbe, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Engineer Dr. Kenneth Shigbe is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining there. Meanwhile, a constitutional lawyer, Justice Abdullahi, has also been sharing his view on this judgment. He spoke earlier to 3FM.
For starters, I would say that this is feather in our cap, and that the state has indeed walked the talk by ensuring that this case has seen a closure, particularly when you take into consideration some comments that were made by the senior minister, Yosaf Mahfoud, to the effect that because the Chinese government has been sponsoring the state, in effect, they cannot convict Aisha Wan or even prosecute her. And indeed, all other Chinese nationals on the basis of their sponsorship of our budget. If you take that into consideration, I think this one becomes good news for all of us, and indeed it's also good news for the media, for their campaign, for the fight against mining and the destructions of our environment. Taking from that angle, I think it is good. But if you take it from the point of view of the sentence that has been handed down, I think 4 years, the judge has been too kind, and I do not know whether that is deterrent enough, considering the circumstances of this particular case. First, let's remember this case is a huge national campaign for the prosecution to even comment. And the Aisha one was more or less the test case for the fight against Galamsey, and right. Everybody was watching out to see what happens at the end of the day. So, if a sentence of this kind emerges, looking at the plethora of evidence that the state claimed to have had at the time, and the evidence that was probably adduced, you would have expected a higher sentence rather than 4 years, which was handed down.
That's Abdullah is private legal practitioner and also a lecturer at the UPSA Law School there. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale, also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, Justice Lydia Osemafo, the judge who sentenced Galamsey Kingpin Aisha Wan to 4.5 years in prison, says Aisha Wan took advantage of Ghana's hospitality. She was also ordered to pay 48,000 Ghana cedis. Justice Lady Osemafo was quoted as saying the accused person abused her kind hospitality when her first trial was truncated and she was deported to her home country. She came back this time with new personality, with a different name, different date of birth. Justice Mafo made this known while delivering her judgment on the case brought against Aisha Wan. Aisha Wan in November 2022 was arraigned on 4 counts of engaging in mining activities without license, facilitating the operation of people in mining without license, illegal employment of foreign nationals, and entering Ghana while prohibited from staying. This was after she was reported to have entered through the Aflao border to engage in her activities in October 2022, despite having been deported in 2018 after the state filed a nolle prosequi into similar charges. The Chinese illegal miner, in the over 1 year course of the trial, pleaded not guilty to all counts except the count of entering Ghana while prohibited from doing so. The state called 11 witnesses, including farmers who testified to have sold their farmlands to Aisha Wan and cited her undertaking illegal mining on their lands. In fact, video evidence was produced by state prosecutors on the level of devastation caused by Aisha Wan. The judge, after considering the evidence before her, concluded that the state has discharged its burden of proving beyond reasonable doubt that indeed Aisha Wan was involved in illegal mining. But before she could impose her sentence, lawyers for Aisha Wan during mitigation prayed the court to impose a fine and deported her, that imposing a custodial sentence. Now, her lead counsel, Miracle Atachi, prayed that, seeing the nature of the prisons in this country, especially given the economic hardship that the country is experiencing, they wanted a fine and deportation of the accused back to her country. But that was not granted. So it is what has happened in court today. But let's still stay on the issue of environment, because government is justifying the large contingent of delegates from Ghana to the World Climate Action Summit COP28 ongoing in Dubai. Now, Ghana this year presented some 618 delegates for the world event, almost 100% increase from the attendees to COP27, which was last year in Egypt in 2022. Now, this development has drawn a lot of flack and criticism for government in both traditional and social media. However, government has mounted a strong defense, insisting it has not engaged in any wasteful expenditure as far as the summit is concerned. Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Kwekwe Free, who is the head of the delegation, 618 from Ghana, tells 3FM it should have sent even a larger delegation. And that's what has led to this particular conversation, and that, in his view, there was a lot more in terms of measures to cut down on the numbers to 618. Had it not been for those measures, there will be more than 618 delegates from Ghana. I spoke to my colleague, Napo Ali Fuseni, who is covering for us in Dubai.
The underlying presumption, I guess, is that the contingent is being funded by government. Nothing could be far from the truth. Even me, my ministry, I had to go out to the private sector to look for funds to sponsor some of my people whom I thought. The COP is to create a grand swell of people across all the spectrum of society, who appreciate the climate issues. So unlike other delegations, the COP actually wants as many people as possible to attend the COP. So that, of course, because of practicalities, the country, UAE, cannot handle everybody. And then, of course, our governments too, we have to screen out bad elements. So the MESI, the coordinating ministry, our remit is not to limit numbers. I have no power to cap the delegation. People from the private entities, CSOs and whatnot, they are all delegates. There's only one portal for attending the COP. That is why the number, they say, is in excess of 600 or something, the COP. That is why the number, they say, is in excess of 600 or something. Actually, When you do the counting here, I'm sure that less than half attended. You see, when we're compiling the figures, I suspect it could be a lot less.
This was after a member of parliament for the Tamale South constituency, Aaron Idrisu, wanted parliament to probe allegations of government registering the 618 people for this year's COP28 in Dubai. Now, data that was released by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change suggests that this 618 delegation from Ghana was much higher than the 350 sent last year, consisting of 95 persons on the official parties list and an additional 523 on the party overflow list. And this was something that came up in Parliament today. And let's go straight to Parliament because we're also learning now that the Education Minister has come under intense criticism from minority members of Parliament over the decision to allow for the reopening of some schools that for the 2023-2024 academic year. Now, despite an earlier directive from the Speaker for the Minister of Education to consider the inconvenience it poses to parents of staying in school for 2 weeks and vacating, the Education Service went ahead and allowed for the reopening. The Minister, Dr. Yase Luchum, has been fighting back, justifying the decision to allow for the reopening, stating enough engagements have taking place between the education institutions and the schools. But let's get a bit more into this. Komla Kluche is our chief parliamentary correspondent. He's sat through Parliament all the while. Komla, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. So what exactly has the education minister been saying in response to the concerns by the minority MPs?
Well, Dr. Yao said Educhum has been justifying this, indicating that yes, indeed, enough engagement was done to the extent also that they published this in the national daily for some time. I think somewhere the first quarter of November, and so it is enough time that has been given to the parents for the reopening, and so he doesn't see why there's actually an issue regarding this. He made a point, or he makes the point, that yes, it's the start of a new academic year, and there's a need for them to streamline it such that it comes back to what the norm used to be in the past. We are aware of the double track in the red, gold, green stuff that has gone on for some time, which has actually brought a lot of talk from people within the education sector and even the kids themselves going to school. This one has been streamlined such that it flows within what used to be the case. But Dr. Duchum says, well, it is not an issue at all because they have engaged the parents for a very long time on this, and they understand that this is what it is. The concern that has come is actually from people outside, especially constituents of the various MPs, who have called on them and also the Speaker that it appears this is unfair to them because of, one, the money involved. Now, the new entrants are to raise, somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000 Ghana cedis to be able to get the prospectus or buy things captured under the prospectus. It is not easy for them to be able to do so. Some also who have to travel very far, looking at the inconvenience and also the cost involved. These are some of the concerns that have been raised. The more reason why Parliament thought it wise on Thursday, the Speaker decided that he would ask the Minister to hold on, but unfortunately that did not happen. I must say earlier in the day that the Speaker was visibly angry at this, and when he said that the Minister should appear at 12:30 and to deal with the matter, failure to which will be dragged before the Privileges Committee. The Minister appeared just about 10 minutes before, way ahead of that time. Now he's been speaking and he's been making the point. The Speaker has allowed it, for want of a better word, in the form of a debate. And it has become very clear that it has become NDC MPP really on this matter. The MPP MPs are defending the Minister and the government for that matter. The MPP, the the NPP MPs are defending the minister and the government for that matter, whilst the NDC minority MPs are lashing out at him. Well, it's all about whichever interest is used. But it does appear whichever side of the house you belong, that is where you would throw your debate or your justification, so to speak, towards. And so, well, the minister has made his point. We are yet to get what the speaker will say. The majority leader just ended. The speaker is just making his remarks now as to how or what should be the way forward regarding this now.
Great. Now, let's hear from Dr. Clement Park, who is the deputy ranking on this education committee. Kamala, if you could just hold on a bit for me, and then also the Honorable Anyimedu Entry and the response by the minister himself.
It is the case that this may have been done. But, Speaker, you would agree with me that it is one thing to anticipate that your ward will do well and be placed in his or her school of choice. And it is another thing to actually get to know that your ward has been placed and therefore you need to mobilize the needed resources to prepare your ward to report in school. In another way, I am making allusions to financial challenges, even within the context of the quote-unquote harmonized prospectus. Just because many parents are really hard up. The conditions of our nation today in terms of resources and the resource availability is a challenge, even for government. We all know parents have gone through haircuts of all manners. There are those parents whose resources have been locked up in banks that have been collapsed. There are those who are dealing with microfinance companies whose resources are locked up. And according to international bodies, in excess of 800,000 Ghanaians who hitherto had the wherewithal to fend for themselves have all now fallen below the poverty line. So when the minister speaks about shortening the process, introducing a harmonized prospectus, well and good. But what quantum of money does a parent need to be able to buy all the items on the harmonized prospectus? Just because even the cost of a chop box, I'm not even talking about a trunk, is more than 200 Ghana cedis. And we are not even going to go through the list and talk about every single item. By my own rough estimates, at the very minimum, a parent will not require less than 3,000 Ghana cedis. Minimum, I say minimum, Mr. Speaker, minimum threshold. And the students are in school already. The minister had given us the statistics of the number of students that had been placed. Unfortunately, we probably do not have the number of students that have reported at the various schools. If we have them, that they about 10% or 20% had reported, then we may have a cause to complain. But not when the students are already in school. Do we want the minister to direct the Ghana Education Service to now call the students that they should come back home and then we give another time for them? Mr. Speaker, this will lead to absurdity. I don't think we need to disturb the academic calendar, especially when the minister has said that we would want to go to the pre-COVID session. This is a session that was running. Nobody complained about this session. We were all comfortable. Then we were hit by COVID. And then most of the things changed. And the ministry, and for that matter, the Ghana Education Service would want to correct this. And we have a problem with this. I do not have a problem with this. And I think that we need to commend the ministry for that. If we have said that a directive had been given to the ministry and they have not obliged there, I am not sure whether we have given a directive. But we should be careful as a house. Because if we say that this house is going to direct the Ghana Education Service and for that matter, Ministry of Education, we are also going to direct Ministry of Health. We are also going to direct Ministry of Education and all other agencies that we work with. It is for no reason, it is for a reason that we are giving them the mandate and the power and the law to work with. If they have not contravened any law, Mr. Speaker, I think we need to encourage them for what they do in order that we could all benefit from that.
Now, Kamala, so how did the House conclude on this matter?
Well, the Speaker is on his floor now speaking, and it does appear there's very little that the House is going to do on this, because some schools have already opened and the students are going through the registration. The Speaker is still on the podium speaking now, indicating that, well, there needs to be enough engagement and consultation before GS does the release next time going forward. The majority leader has equally been stating things so that they will not find themselves in the quagmire that it is now. There's still some confusion. Some of the parents are yet to send their wards to school. Some have already done so, but the confusion is still in the system. These are words of the Speaker, even though the minister has come to justify his decision to go ahead. And so there is a need for proper engagement, even with MPs or with the legislature before this is done, because the Speaker just shown some letters or petitions that he has received from various institutions, and he thinks that there was a need for this matter to be looked at. It is not out of his own volition, but it is because of these things. And so maybe we can just hear what the Speaker is saying now.
That one is inequitable. We have to go and consider it. Please, these are things that I think we should always discuss dispassionately, because we're all talking about the national interest. That is why I keep on telling you that the Speaker is impartial, but not neutral. Because on every issue, the Speaker has an interest. That interest could be the national interest, or at least sectional or constituency. What the Speaker should not do is to have partisan interest. But as for interest, the Speaker must have, because he's a citizen of Ghana. And I do have that interest. I don't hide it. I don't pretend. So please, honorable members, we need to handle things better than we are doing. If the Speaker out of order.
No, right or no, Speaker. So we've just heard the Speaker there speaking. It does appear not much will be happening on this matter. It's just been the registering of the frustration. But then, I mean, it boils down to better engagement as to how things will be handled. But basically, the Speaker has justified this. Nonetheless, they would have the minister has justified this. But nonetheless, going forward, they just have to look at a broader consultation, inclusive of the legislature as well on this matter.
Right on. Kamala, appreciate your time on this, and then also the detail you give there. Kamala Koche is our Chief Parliamentary Correspondent, live from Parliament. You just heard the Speaker of Parliament stating quite clearly why he is so interested in this particular matter, because he's received a number of concerns and petitions from parents and groupings about this particular reopening date today, and the inconvenience that it poses, especially to parents. And in fact, we've been speaking to a number of parents who have been confirming what the Speaker has been talking about in Parliament since Thursday. And let's go straight to the Central Region. My colleague Thomas Khan has been monitoring the situation there, a number of the senior high schools in the Central Region. Thomas, what have you observed?
So, Alfred, a number of the students reported to school today. And then there are some parents who believe that the time given to them for their awards to report to school was quite harsh one, and they even describe it as everything in a haste. And again, everything had to be done in a rush to prepare the wards to come to school. There are some who think that some ample time should have been given to them, both the students and the parents, to do proper planning and preparation, and then for them to get to school. There are others who think that, well, the time was short, but again, it was one that would be good for students to go to school and just get themselves abreast with a new environment and new conditions they are going to find themselves in at the senior high school, and then go back for the Christmas break and then get back again to school. So they think that that kind of arrangement somehow is kind of okay, that all have to endure and that know that that is the new life they are going to face for the next 2 or 3 years. So they need to just prepare for it and then just enjoy.
Right on. I thank you so much. Thomas Khan is our Central Regional Correspondent. And still on this particular issue, and my colleague Judith Brown also visited some of the lorry stations here in Accra, where a number of the parents have thrown, and the placement centers as well, where we understand some parents are frustrated as a result of the back and forth they had to experience. And this was specifically at the Nat Hall. And this is my colleague, Judith Brown.
It's been barely 2 weeks since placements were released for prospective senior high school students. And although students are to report to school effective December 4, behind me are a myriad of parents who have come with their wards as a result of various placement challenges.
We chose the residency to be boarding, but they were given day, and looking at the distance, we had to come here and make sure the school is changed. We are coming from Tema, but the school is given at Adan Senior High, and that's very far, so we are here to change the school as well.
Well, here at the Nat Hall, challenges such as no placements, change of school, change of status, that is from boarding today or vice versa, and change of program are being resolved, and evidently the number of people here are overwhelming. Well, despite the fact that there are no continuing students in school as at now, and amidst the various challenges you can see here at the Nat Hall, students are still supposed to report at their various senior high schools today. Some here believe that this is unfair.
You cannot say you've released the results last Tuesday that just passed, and you expect us to go to school just today. You know that the economy is in a bad state, and you know that nowadays in this era, just to get money is very difficult. You have to work hard. I know that corruption nowadays is too much, so we cannot say we shall attend school today. It's not be possible.
For many, the process is hectic and hopes of getting their problem solved are bleak.
They have to be in other places so that they can teach us. And we need a booklet so that we can see that category 6 schools only. But they are one side. You see how they are talking there. We don't like it.
The books where we are supposed to select the schools from are limited. So it's like we are in a queue waiting for books to select schools for him, which is also wasting our time. Actually, we are also workers. We work. So we have to go and then we have to do this fast and then go and follow our works.
Judith Brown, Nat Hall, Accra.
So let's go to the Ashanti region, where my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar is reporting parents have lauded the decision by the Ghana Education Service to introduce a standard and uniform prospectus, but some school authorities have raised concerns on some of the items removed from the prospectus.
It was all joy for most of the first-year students who are eager to begin their senior higher education journey as they report to school on Monday, December 4. Hundreds trooped to Kumasi Secondary Technical School to register. Parents were satisfied with the arrangement and the move by GES to review the prospectus.
Oh, as parents, they only say prospectus nearby and a good, less to obey school because automatically your man should be brave. Nearby and be okay.
For those years back, the items that we were putting in were not too much. But so far, I think we shall manage it. We shall manage it. But the government should do more.
At Sekafia Islamic Senior High, most students are yet to report, but parents were in to check and pick up the admission letter of their children.
We are fully prepared for them. We are in school. Everything is ready. Everything for them. In fact, they've also started coming. In fact, some come to see the environment, to see the internal arrangement, and then go back and come. Some also come with their luggage. We prepare to receive them. Those who are ready to come are prepared to receive them.
But at the Kumasi Technical Institute, where a solution center has been set up by the Ghana Education Service to address issues regarding school placement, frustration is written on the faces of parents and their wards. While some want their school changed, others are now fighting for placement.
I'm a first time to school, Munya school. So me manya, I time. I worried.
Over 100,000 students did not get placement in any school nationwide.
Parents should exercise a little bit of patience. Every child qualified will be placed. Every child qualified will get a school and study. So we are appealing to them. Today is reopening day. It doesn't mean the door is closed. We are here this week, next week, until last student is placed.
The Ghana Education Service wants parents to show interest and be involved in the selection of schools for their children.
That's my colleague Rahim Abubakar there from the Ashanti region. Now, from education, the Office of Special Prosecutor has declared 6 persons wanted for vote buying in the just ended New Patriotic Party Ofan constituencies elections. According to the OSP, these persons and others were engaged in corrupt practices. The OSP's actions followed social media viral videos and publications by some mainstream media houses of persons openly engaged in exchange of money to influence voting during the primaries. They are persons wanted by the OSP for corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of public elections, especially vote buying. Posts cited on the OSP social media handles have shown. However, the OSP did not provide the names of the individuals shown in the post. Now, the conversation featured on the big issue on 3FM's Sunrise Morning Show, where Tamale Central Member of Parliament Murtala Mohammed urged the Office of Special Prosecutor to probe the development.
Members of Parliament are nothing but representatives of their constituents. They serve as liaison, if you like, officers between the executive arm and the people they represent. Unfortunately, it's been hugely monetized, and what we saw the weekend was disgusting. So I'm saying that it is just vulgar, it is unacceptable. Now, anybody can come and win elections if he or she has money. And we have seen that in the MPP, where drug convicts subsequently came and won elections.
You're talking about Erica Martin?
Of course. Who was convicted for dealing in drugs. Came, contested an elections, and won the elections. Tomorrow, you don't know who will come and contest elections and win because the person has money. So I think that we all need to sensitize the public. We all need to be taking a position that resonates with the letter and spirit of parliamentary representation. And one of the means by which we can do so is when political parties own up to condemn such acts by their own members. I think that the Office of the Special Prosecutor should be interested in finding out how they got the money, how did they come by the money, who gave the money, how much taxes were paid on that money, because this is outrageous.
So that's Murtala Mohammed there, and you're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and also on W93.5 in YBN. We're live also on Facebook and X at 3FM 927. Michael Obodo standing by with the latest in the world of business.
Hello there, welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Michael Obudu. Coming out, Bank of Ghana gold purchases exceed $1 billion in reserve as part of gold purchasing program. We have the details coming up shortly. Please stay with us. Well, thank you for staying. Now, the Bank of Ghana has up-to-date purchased gold in excess of $1 billion in reserves as part of its gold purchasing program. According to Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, the domestic gold purchasing program has been very strong in helping to stabilize the economy. According to him, this program will continue to cushion the economy until government receives approved cocoa syndicated loan as well as the second tranche of the IMF extended credit facility.
Point we've made during this press conference is that we have been very innovative this year through the Gold for Reserves and Gold for Oil program. We have been able to buy how many tons of gold? Additional 35 tons of gold, more than $1.something billion. Really? And therefore, in a sense, we've been able to bring more stability to the system and not just depended on IMF resource flows. So yes, I mean, if the bilateral creditors reach agreement early before the end of this year or first quarter of next year, we will all be happy. But if they don't, we think we can manage. And that's all that I'm saying. And we are going to see the cocoa loan come in before the end of the year, and we will also get the second tranche of the IMF disbursement before the end of the year. So we should be able to manage.
So that was the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, speaking there. Now, a recent data from the Bank of Ghana has revealed that the number of registered internet banking customers increased by 16.4% from a little above 970,000 in 2021 to over 1.1 million in 2022. Similarly, the number of registered mobile banking customers increased by 15.38% from over 5.8 million in 2021 to more than 6.7 million in 2022. The following three Business News Desk report has the details.
The Bank of Ghana's 2022 Payment Systems Oversight Annual Report revealed substantial growth in internet and mobile banking transactions. Internet banking transactions soared by an impressive 43.03%, reaching 80.43 billion cedis in 2022 compared to 56.23 billion cedis in the previous year. Similarly, the value of mobile banking transactions witnessed a robust surge, escalating by 47.34% to 38.47 billion cedis in 2022, up from 26.11 billion cedis in 2021. The central bank's data underscored a clear trend towards digital channels for financial transactions in the country. Despite this surge in digital avenues, the report highlighted a marginal decline of 0.97% in the cumulative number of ATMs deployed by the banks. The count slipped from 2,278 in 2021 to 2,256 by the end of December 2022, reflecting a shift in consumer preferences away from traditional ATMs. Contrastingly, the number of point-of-sale POS devices experienced a notable uptick, registering a 6.13% increase.
So that was a three Business News Desk report. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, has urged Ghanaians not to condone activities that aim to evade loan repayments. Ewa laments that the current rate of non-performing loans recorded by banks does not promote economic growth and development.
Ghana's non-performing loans ratio stood at 20% in August 2023 compared to the previous month's ratio of 19.1%. Making it one of the highest in the sub-region. According to the president of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, this has become an albatross around the necks of financial institution managers.
As participants within the financial system, we should all be worried that if
borrower takes money and uses all kinds of gimmicks within the judicial system, the court, the lands commission, whoever or whatever state institution has to do something to ensure the bank is able to recover, and that is not done.
So that was John Ewa, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Association of Banks, bringing us an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Billy Shen is on standby to bring you more in the world of sports. Stay with us.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Let's start off from the Ghana Premier League because Great Olympics were defeated by 2-0 against Legon Cities at home earlier today. Now, Legon Cities are currently 13th on the log with 15 points, and Great Olympics are 11th with 16 points. Asante Kotoko will be facing Brecum Chelsea later tonight at 6 p.m. I will provide you updates on that. Still on the local stories, the board of Heart of Folk have issued a strong response to Dutch coach Martin Koopman's recent allegations, vehemently asserting that they had granted him complete authority over the player selection. Now, in a presser held today, the board addressed Koopman's claims, stating that the Dutch coach was solely responsible for player selection and had full control over the process. This was announced by Dr. Nyahu Tamaklu, who is a member of the board.
The head coach comments in the media very distasteful. The board has never told the coach not to field any player, and pointed to available records showing that Koopman had even used all except 2 players who were nursing injuries. And the 2 players are Eric Ofori Antwi, who was a goalkeeper, and David Afrani, a defender.
That was Dr. Nyahu Tamaklu, that's a board member of Heart of Folk, speaking about Martin Koopman there. Now, to some other stories, the Ghana Football Association has announced the job opening for the position of technical director, signaling the exit of Bernard Leper. Now, the deadline has been set at 8th December 2023. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta believes Luton Town should be at a better position in the Premier League. Currently, they are currently 17th on the log with just 9 points earned, and they will face Arsenal this Tuesday.
Good team. I think probably the table doesn't reflect what they've done in many games, the way they lost games or draw games as well in final minutes of final stages of games. As you said, probably doesn't reflect that, but yeah, difficult game, that's for sure.
For you as a manager. That was Mikel Arteta, the head coach of Arsenal. Before I do go in women's football, the Black Queens just finished their training session ahead of the WAFCON qualifiers against Namibia, which is set for Tuesday afternoon. Now, they beat the opponents by 3-1 in the first leg and will be looking to get one over them and qualify for the 13th time to the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. My name is Bilish, and that's the end of the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. Up next is entertainment with Ajwa Nuela.
Well, good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here
On Hot Edition, my name is Noella Donko. Now, evictions are still ongoing in the season 12 of TV3 Mendo. Now, after an impressive night of performances from the 10 contestants on the Reggae Night episode, Juella and Wonderboy had to say goodbye to the competition. Now, for the second time this season, Bino won the star performer with his captivating rendition of Dwayne Stevenson's August Town. 8 down, 8 more to go. Make sure you're keeping your favorite in the competition by dialing *713*13# or download the TV3 reality app from Play Store or App Store to vote. Mentor takes you higher. Now to some more stories here on Hot Edition. The depiction of Olarati meets The Gods Are Not to Blame by April Communications and Image Bureau over the weekend was a blast. Now the star-studded play, which showed on the 2nd and 3rd of December, had actors like Andrew Tando, Nashoko, David Donto, Mauli Semavo, and a host of others give us stellar performances of their roles. Now the colorful display of outfits fused with music and dance with a touch of humor has been the talking point for most patrons. The story of The Gods Are Not to Blame is one of a man who tried to avert his destiny of killing his father and marrying his mother, which was told by a seer when he was born. Now, finally, on the entertainment news segment here, the UK-based Ghanaian gospel musician Sonny Badu's third social media conversations after sharing his Spotify-wrapped an annual summary reflecting user streaming habits. Now, contrary to expectations of a Christian-focused list, Sonny Badu's most streamed artist for 2023 was Sarkodie, a renowned Ghanaian rapper. Ghanaians are shocked as they expected the playlist to primarily reflect his Christian walk. Well, that's how we wrap up on the entertainment news segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Noella Donko, and thank you so much for joining us and spending your 1 hour with us on radio. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for more updates in the world of the news. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of your evening.